This is a vodcast on Black Christmas, directed by Bob Clark in 1974. It was given a 7.2 rating, and the budget was 686,000 Canadian dollars, and the gross profit was $4,053,000 US dollars. The 5 characters that really show out in the film, in the first 25 minutes of the film, obviously the creepy man who makes the phone calls. He also walks up to the house. It doesn't show that it's him at first, but it gives the impression that it's him that's on the phone and then him that climbs into the house and stalks at the people before killing the first character. One woman who jokes about sex and doesn't seem at all bothered when told that someone in the village was raped. She doesn't seem very nice. She also smokes and drinks a lot and laughs and provokes the creep on the phone. She mocks the scared girl and gives the impression that she's actually the scream queen, but she's not. In fact, she's not killed first. The girl that's killed first seems young and nerdy, and she seems to be more scared and anxious than the others, and she's killed first. This is unusual because she wasn't a typical scream queen. If anything, she's given the impression that she's the opposite and would have been the final girl. However, she does kiss her boyfriend when he leaves, but doesn't give much reference to sex or being sexually active. An older woman that most likely owns a sorority house, therefore being an authority figure, has hidden bottles of sherry around the house, for example in books and in the toilet. This means she's useless and unreliable, and typical in slasher films, the authorities are of no use. One woman, who seems to be kind of in between the typical screen queen idea and the final girl, sometimes she'll go along with the jokes down the phone to the creepy man. She'll laugh about them and smile and make jokes, but sometimes she'll act more scared and concerned. She also acts like a mother, and she's more caring to the other people in the house, so she gives the impression she's quite a motherly figure. She's as young, I think, as the other women in the sorority house, but she looks and acts older. As the movie starts, you see a long shot of the house, slowly zooming in, with Joyful Christmas Carol played over, which sets the scene of a happy, merry Christmas scene. You see the Christmas decorations, which connote to it being Christmas, and also as a woman walks into the house, you have diegetic sound of jingle bells, which also makes the atmosphere seem jolly. Once a woman's walked into a house, you then get the man who you'd assume was the man on the phone, as he's creepy, and he goes up to the door with creepy music played over, and you can hear him breathing really heavily, and it's quite scary. The music played over is stringed music, and it sounds horrible. I think that the scene is made to give the impression everyone's really happy and it's joyful at Christmas, just for the whole scene to be destroyed and for everything to be made depressing and to just demolish the happy scene. So the happier the setting's made, the better it is, the more impact it has when it's made worse. Also, the mise-en-scene of the house, as on the left of the door there's Greek symbols which represent that they're at college, and the sorority house is big and old-fashioned. It looks scary, and because it's big there's obviously plenty of room for a killer to hide, to creep in, or for someone to go missing without being noticed. And there's also lots of Christmas decorations around the house that look cheerful and merry. The house, however, looks dull and old-fashioned. The wallpaper in the house sets the scene that it's an old-fashioned house set in the 70s. There's a lot of quite bright colours and horrible patterns around, and one of the women are wearing flares. And also, the phone used is really old, and it's all the notes to the film being old and set in the 70s. A lot of the scenes in the film were set in the dark, using light from the outside, maybe from the Christmas lights, and you can see a lot of shadows, especially when the creepy man stalks the house and climbs in through the window. I think this was done just to set the scary scene with it being the night, and obviously with it dark, it's scarier than it being light, and there's more room for the killer to get into the house and not be seen. If this film, I think the money made in the film, because it did make over $4 million, I think that the money was they targeted people, the audience of people aged 18 to 24, and that they wanted to make most of their money in the cinema. Because obviously in '74 you couldn't buy DVDs, So it's too old, and it's too old to go online, obviously. So I think the main audience were 18 to 24-year-olds in the cinema. So the situation is that you have 4 girls living in a sorority house, supposedly minded, but the authority figure is actually an old woman who seems to drink more than the women do and smoke, so she's a bit of a joker, so she's not much of an authority figure. Therefore, they're not being minded and they're left to do what they want, which is typical in a slasher film with the authority figure being useless. They keep getting creepy phone calls. Well, you only hear one in the film, but they say, oh, it's him again, he's being weird, and when he starts making different noises, they say, oh, he's up to his game, meaning that now he's doing more than he was before, so maybe the killer's getting provoked, or he's anxious. Also, when on the phone, they laugh at him and make jokes. One woman's dead set against making jokes about him. She doesn't think it's funny at all. She's scared. One woman's half into making jokes, and then the woman actually on the phone calls him a sick pervert and makes jokes about him, which can only provoke him. And as they're all partying for Christmas, having a Christmas party, a man climbs into the window, and the audience will obviously assume, well, no, I did, that that's the man on the phone, and that those two are linked. And he climbs into the house. You don't actually see his face, you only see his hands. And then one woman goes upstairs after partying, and the man's hidden between her clothes and a wardrobe. In fact, you don't even know it's a man, and you can see his view looking at her. She walks over to him, and she grabs her with like plastic sheet and suffocates her. You don't know that it's the man in the house, the man on the phone, but it's a serious link, and that's what it connotes to. Also, when the woman's killed, she's just left rocking in a chair, which makes her look even scarier when she's found. And that's the only killing in the first 25 minutes.